Welcome to the fastest stop in town, Tenu Masechtas Rosh Hashana Daf Yud Ches. We are going to begin on the top of Yud Ches Amud Aleph, second line. Zar din diyachin tanahi. The question that if Hashem already made a gezerah on an individual, if that person can have it removed, is a machlokas tanah. Decide. Rebbe Meir Omer Shnaim Shola Mita. Let's say you have two people that are going to the bed of dying. V'choyin. Again, they're sick, so shav is equal. V'chein shnaim she'olu legardoim ledin. Two people are going to court to be judged. Din and shav, everything's the same. Zeh yard, zeh lo yard. One goes down, one doesn't go down. Zeh nitzel, zeh lo nitzel. One gets saved, one doesn't get saved. Nema, why does that happen? Zeh yard, zeh lo yard, zeh nitzel, zeh lo nitzel. Why does that happen? That one's saved, one's not. So zeh his spile of an enna. So this person davened. It wasn't answered. This person davened. It was not answered. So why is that? It doesn't seem right. A person davened wholeheartedly, Hashem will answer it. If you didn't daven wholeheartedly, then you're not going to be answered. Which according to this is once there's gzar din, it doesn't make any difference. It's too late. Rav Yitzchak Omer Yafat Sakel Adam Ben Kodim Gzar Din Ben Lach Gzar Din. According to this shita, no, even after Gzar Din, the Gzar has already been decreed, you can still beg for forgiveness, and Hashem will maybe remove it. Gzar Din Tzibor Mi Mekra. So we said Kan Biyach Kam Tzibor, but Tzibor, is it true that it gets ripped up? V'Ksiv Echad Omer V'Kosav Echad Omer. One pasuk says is this. Kavsi mira libech, they will cleanse the heart from bad. Ki im techabsi maneser, if you cleanse yourself with this like soap, the tarbilach boyrus uses cleansing agents. Nichtam avoinech lafanai, the stain will still remain before you. So my love kan kaidem gazardin kan lachar gazardin. Well, that must be the difference. So idri lachar gazardin. Both of them are after gazardin. Lo kasha kan gazar. Din de sheish imo shvua kan gzar din shein imo shvua. So even when it comes to a tzibor, there's a possibility that the it will not be removed after the gzar din, and that's if there was a shvua attached to it. Can Rav Shmuel bar Ami, Dim Rav Shmuel bar Ami, V'yarmel Rav Shmuel. Keep saying the word Shmuel. Bar Nachmani, Omer Rav Yonasan, Menayin L'Gzar Din Sheishim Shvua Sheinu Nikra. How do we know a shvua attached with a Gzar Din cannot be removed? Shinamar, again, makes sense. It keeps saying Shmuel, Shmuel. It's in the beginning of Sefer Shmuel. L'chein Nishbati L'Veis Eli, regarding the shvua made against the children of Eli, Chafi and Pinchas, who did numerous things wrong. Im Ischaper Albain Beis Eli B'Zevach Mincha. Basically saying that they cannot do tshuva by bringing karbanos, and it made sense because there was sin in Mishkan Shiloh with karbanos, the way that they mishandled them. So Amar Rava, b'zevach mincha and mischaper, they can't get an atonement through karbanos. A mischaper b'tayra, however, with Torah it could uproot it. By Amar b'zevach mincha and mischaper, aval mischaper b'tayra b'gemilos chasadim. And there's a reason why it was Rabbah and Abaya, or Rav and Abaya, that said these things, because Rabbi Abaya and Eli Kasu, they both came from the children of Eli, and therefore the curse was you're not going to live a long life. So how did they combat that? So Rabbi, the Asik B'Torah Chayer Bar Shnin, Rabbi, because he was engaged in Torah study, he was able to live until 40 years, so he was able to live a little bit of a longer life. Abaya, the Asik B'Torah Gemilos Chasadim, so he actually lived for 60 years. Taraban. Mishpacha achas haisver Yerushalayim shahaya meiseha mesin b'nei Hashana. They would always die at 18 years old. Bova haidiu es Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai. So they went to him. Armahen shema mishpachas Eli atem. Maybe you come from Eli. The Chsivbe, the pasuk says, the whole marbis beischa, all those who raised in your house, yimusu anoshim. So l'chuv yisku b'tayra v'chiyu, holchu v'osku b'tayra v'chayu. So he told him, why don't you go and learn Torah and you'll live? Why didn't he tell him to do Gemilos Chasadim? It's a good question. But if you are Isaac and Torah, then you'll live a long life. Rabbi Yochanan al Shemo, and therefore they was given like this name because he was the one that gave this Eitzah, and therefore their children live longer. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Inya Mishmei Rav Menayin L'Gzar Din Shel Tzibur Sheinu Nechtam Ela Enu Nechtam. I mean that the Gzar Din is not signed and sealed. V'ksiv Nechtam Avoynech Lefonai. It is sealed. Ela Alpha Gav Shenechtam. Even though it may be sealed, Nikra can still be ripped up. Shneimar Kashem Elokeinu B'chol Kareinu Eila. V'ksiv Dir Hashem B'himatzo, and you should come close to Hashem when he's found. So what does that mean? So Hasam b'yachid, Hacha b'tzibor. So b'yachid Amos, when is Hashem close to us, even as a yachid? Omer Rabba bar Rabua el sar yomim shebein Rosh Hashana Yom Kippurim. As we quote the pasuk, Dir Shem b'yimatzo is during a Seder B'tshuva. Vahi kaseres yomim, during these 10 days, v'yigoy Hashem es nabel yud yomim ma'avid. What is this 10 days referring to? So Rabbi Yehuda Marav keneged eser legimois shenasan Naval l'Avdi David. It's corresponding to the 10 meals that Naval gave to the servants of David. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rav Rabua il yud yamim shebein Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim. So there was this schus during that time, during this powerful time of Aser Simichuva, that a person's tefillos can be answered. Rosh Hashana kol bo yoyla ma'ibin lafanav kivnei maron. So, and this we say, of course, in the Sada Tokef. So, my kivnei maron. So, there's 3 answers, and the question Rabbi J.J. Schechter poses is, what is that coming to tell you? Why does it have to be 3 different answers? What is one teaching us that the other one isn't teaching? So, there's a beautiful drasha, he says. So, my kivnei maron hacha targimu kivnei Imrana, that were like sheep. Rish Lakish Aimer Kamalos base Marin, they were just like the steps of base Marin, which were very narrow. Rabbi Yehuda Mishmul Kachayel Shel base David, the army of base David, and how they would walk in like one by one. Amar Ruchana Amar Yochanan Bekulan Niskarin Beskir Achas. They're all gazed upon the same way. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Afanam Antanina Hayotze Yach Libam Hamebdal Kol Masehem. My karma, what does it mean? Elam haki karma dibranu l'kol yalma, that he created the whole world, miyachid lebeinu ki hadadi, and he fashioned their hearts like one. B'hal kach hazina, the love haki, it's not true. Who? Everyone's different. El love haki karma hayotzer, the creator, Raya Hashem, who sees them, yachid liba maybe as el kol masehem. Hashem judges everyone. Then the next Mishnah talks about Kiddush HaChodesh. Al shisha chadashim hashluchim yotzim. For 6 different months, the messengers can go out. Says Rashi, Shekichu Beisim HaChodesh Al Pi Edim. You have to have witnesses to say that they saw the new moon. So we can have witnesses go out to let people know about it. So what are the key months? Al Nisan Nimnei Pesach, Al Ab Nimnei Tainus, namely Tisha B'Av. Al El Nimnei Rosh Hashana, because right afterwards, the first day of Tishrei is right there. Al Tishrim Nei Tekanas Muadais, well, Sukkot, Simchas Torah, Yom Kippur. Al Kislev Nei Chanukah, V'al Adar Nei Purim. So even for the rabbinic holidays. Ukshaya Beis HaMikdash Kayim, when the Beis HaMikdash existed and stood, Yotzim Afal Ir Nei Pesach Katan. Okay, Pesach Sheni, Pesach Katan. The V'rek Gemara of Leifkin Nami At Tammuz V'Tevis, which is Gemara question 4. Why don't we, if we mention and we have messengers go out for the month of Av so that people can fast Tisha B'Av, but there's also fasts on Tammuz, Shavas Tammuz, the fast on Teves, Asar B'Teves. So why don't we also have Shluchim go out for that as we continue the Chesam Beis? Di'omer Rav Chana Bar Bizna Amar Rav Shimon Chasida Ma'anech said Koimar Hashem Savach Yisam Harvi, the fast which is on the 4th month, Som HaChamish on the 5th month, Som Shvi on the 7th month, the Som HaSiri on the 10th. We'll discuss what are these 4 major fast days. Yelu Beis Yehuda L'Sasal L'Simcha. So Karel Hu Saim, they Karel Hu L'Sasal L'Simcha. How can you call it a fast day and also call it a joyous thing? It seems to be contradictory. So Bizman Sheish Shalom Yu L'Sasal L'Simcha. At a time that there's peace, so then we don't fast these minor fasts, like for example Shavas Tammuz and Asar B'Teves. However, and that's the case. Bizman Sheish Shalom Yu L'Sasal L'Simcha. In Shalom Tzayim. If there's no shalom, then we do fast. So l'chayra, if there's no shalom, there's a fast day. So l'chayra, we should send the messengers out during those times. So Marapapa Hakikamer, Zman Sheish Shalom Yulasaslo Simcha, Yesh Gezeres Hamalchus Saim. If let's say there's a Gezeres Hamalchus still on us, says Rashi, Chayvul Astanis Behen, then we do have to continue fast. And Gezeres Hamalchus Vein Shalom. If there's, let's say, no Gzera, there's no Shalom, it's just like a regular time, Ratz Misan, Ratz Ein Misan, and then it's really optional whether a person wants to do it. It says Rashi, if you came under Rishosu, Lo Matrichinam Shluchim Alayhu. We're not going to be matriach to have the messengers to go because it's only Rishos. Yehachi Tisha B'Av Nami. That also, let's say in time of Shalom, or we should also make that optional. So many calamities befell us, so therefore, because of that, it's never optional. Diyomer Mar, as it says in the Seftas Tainus, the Tisha B'Av, on Tisha B'Av, 5 things happened. I mean, 5 things happened also in Shavas B'Talmuz, good kasha, but nonetheless, that's look in Taisus, it says the same thing. B'Yom Shavas B'Talmuz, Nami Ira Chamish Devarim. So the L'chayr, it's right. So Taisus says of a Churban Beis Hamikdash to Kifa Tuva. Right. First of all, you have again one of the 5. What are the 5? The 5 are terrible of Shavas B'Talmuz, but the destruction of Beis Hamikdash is the worst. The Tisha B'Av Charba Bayis Harishon Mishni, the verse in the second. The Nilchad of Beitar was destroyed. The Nechosh Le'ir, the city was plowed. Of course, the Meraglim came. Some people also learned, unbelievably, that Tisha B'Av, Tisha's 9, Av is the 11th month, 9/11, which is a tremendous coincidence, if you want to call it that. Tanya Rabbi Shimon, Arba Dvarim Hay Rabbi Kiba Darish. Yani Ein Darish Kamai. So there's 4 things that he darshan, I don't darshan like him. Saim Rabbi, what is the fast in the 4th month? Zeh Tesba Tammuz. This is on the 9th of Tammuz. Why is Tammuz? Because you have Nisan, which we established already as Hashana. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz. So that's Saim Rabbi. So what happened on the 9th of Tammuz? So Hukva Iyar, the city was breached. Shenemar, of course, you don't fast on that. We fast on Shavasam Tammuz. Shenemar, Ravit, B'Tishal Chaydish, the Yechazak Harav Ba'ir, there was a tremendous famine. V'lo Hayel Lechem La'am Aretz, there was no bread. The Tibaka Ir, and then they breached the city. The Mai Karile Ravi. Why is it called Ravi? Because Ravi L'Chadashim. Again, so Nisan says the 4th month. So Samach Hamishi is Tisha B'Av. Shabon Nisr Beis Elkeinu, of course, that's the time the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. The Yamar Kali Chamishi L'Chadashim. Because again, you have Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, and Av. Soim Hashvi, what's the 7th one? Zeh Gimel B'Tishrei. Shabon Neher Gedali Ben Achika. That Gedaliah was assassinated, was killed. Umi Hargu Yishmael ben Nisanya Hargu. Perhaps this is the greatest tragedy. It was a Jew against another Jew. That we connect the two to say that it's shokol, the death of a tzaddik, to the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Again, Tishrei is the 7th month from Nisan. Soma Asiri Zasar B'Teves Shaboy Samach Melech Bavel Al Yishalayim, that he surrounded Bavel. Nebuchadnezzar did. Shneimar V'Hidavar Hashem Elai B'Shana Hatshias was in the 9th year. B'Chodesh Asir in the 10th month. B'Esel Chodesh the 10th day. It was 10:10 when it happened. Leimor Ben Adam Kosav as Shem Hayoim as Etzem Hayom Azeh Samach Melech Bavel El Yerushalayim. He surrounded the city. Yamar Kali Asir Asir L'Chadashim. So, since this really happened first, so this should be mentioned first, because the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, but before it was destroyed, he surrounded the city, and then he breached the walls. Why is it written in this order? Just so there's a flow, that it doesn't mention the 10th one first, even though chronologically that did happen first. I say when it's the 4th, the fast of a series, that's Chamish B'Tevis. Shabo Bash Shmuel Goyla L'Huksa Ir. That was a time in which the city was, it was heard that it was being destroyed. Shneimar V'Hi B'Shnei Esrei Shana, the 12th year of Asiri B'Chamishi L'Chaydish, the 5th of the month, legal of our exile. But Eli Hapolit, the refuge, came Yerushalayim. Lamar Hukta Ir, that the city was basically being destroyed. or captured. The Asu Yom Shmua Kiyom Sreifa, and that day was like the day it was burned. The Nirin Devarim Minavarav, and I accept my words more than theirs. Shani Omer Al Rishon Rishon Al Achron Achron, and therefore everything is in chronological order. U Omer Al Rishon Achron Al Achron Rishon. So the way that you established was when the walls of Yerushalayim were surrounded. That was the first event. So it makes more sense that you should mention a situation where it was the last event. So everything was in the proper order. You mentioned the Seder of months, and I mentioned the Seder of the Pranius of calamities. Itmar. Rabbi Chanina Amri. Batala Megillus Tainus. Megillus Tainus, says Rashi, Yomim Toivim. These are holidays, Shekabu Chachamim, Alidi Nisim, there were great miracles, She'eru Behem, the Ostrum Batainus, one was not able to fast during that time. Akshav Shecharav Habayis, now the base of Mitzvah was destroyed. Batlu, this Megillus Tainus is removed. Umatar Behesta Batainus, a person is allowed to fast and eulogize during those days in which before we weren't allowed to. So, Batal Megillus Tainus. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon Lekish, Amri, Lo Batal Megillus Tainus. So that's Shemachlokus if Batal is Megillus Tainus, and therefore a person is not allowed to fast or eulogize on those days. Rabbi Chanina, Amri, Batal Megillus Tainus. Hafikamer. This man Sheish Shalom, in the time there's peace, Yulasas on the Simcha. In Shalom, if there's no peace, Soim, there's a fast. V'hanach nami kihani, and those are just like those. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yeshua, ben Levi, Amri lo batal Megillus Tainus. It was never removed. Hani hu detalin hu rachman b'bini beis hamikdash. Those are which were attached to the beis hamikdash. Avol kedekaima kaima. But the other ones, as they stay, and therefore they say lo batal. So Meisef Rav Kahana Mas v'gazru Tainus b'Chanukah Balud. It says that they made a Tainus on the holiday of Chanukah. How are you able to do that? Now it must be that they were Mavatal Megillus Tainus. V'yoder b'lezer v'rachas Rabbi Yeshua v'siper, got a haircut. V'yamalahem su v'sanu alma lis anehem. You should go and fast. So Rabbi Yosef Shani Chanukah d'ikam mitzvah. He says that it's different because it is a mitzvah, and therefore since it was a mitzvah, so therefore then we made an exception when it came to Chanukah. So that's what he said. Like you're not supposed to be fasting. So it's actually Kolomer Asu Tshuva. Fine. So again, Chanukah is different because there's a mitzvah attached to it. Abaya v'tibatel ihi v'tibatel mitzvasa. So it's mimavatel and mimavatel doing the mitzvah of Chanukah. Right? How would that go? So Elo Amar Rabbi Yosef Shani Chanukah Diafarsim Nisa, because you're publicizing miracles. Says Rashi, Kavar hu golu chol Yisrael al de shenogu bo hamitzvos v'achziku bo k'shel Torah v'lo nachal batlei. It's not proper to be mavatal it. Okay, so the exception was Chanukah and the Megillus Tainus. Fine. Shani Chanukah Meforsim Nisa. Moisev Rav Achabar Huna b'tlas b'Tishrei, and the third day of Tishrei b'telta Adarchta min shtaraya. They were mavatal Hashem's name from documents. Says Rashi, Kakos b'Megillah, Lashon Arami b'Teil Adarchta bitul Azkar Shem Shemayim in Ashtaros. They stopped writing Hashem's name in these documents. Kushi Yochu Lavatal. Shvar Nagu Ukishamu Chachmei. When they heard about this, Ubitlam Hochshur Hadavar b'Nehem, the Nexal Hamla Nes. Basu Yomtov, and the time in which they no longer had the Hashem's name, which shouldn't have been written in these documents, so it was a great thing. They made it into a big holiday. She goes to Malchus Yovin Gezer Shalol Hasker, the other way around. Shalol Hasker Hashem Shemayim Al Pihem, that you should not mention Hashem's name. She governed Malchus Hashem Noi B'Nitzchom when they were victorious. V'Hiskin Shehi Maskim Shemayim Nafil B'Shtaros, that Hashem's name should even be in documents. V'Kach Hayu Koisen B'Shnas Kach V'Kach V'Yochanan Kohen Gadol. When they heard this, tomorrow he pays off his loan. The Nimsa Shtar Mutal Ba'ashba, he's going to throw into the garbage. Ubitlam Hayom. So therefore the whole question is, the fact that Hashem's name is on it could be a detrimental thing actually, because all of a sudden you're throwing Hashem's name into the garbage. So therefore what ended up happening was on the 3rd of Tishrei, which happens to also be Som Gedalia, They're mavatal mentioning Hashem's name, writing it in a star. Now, if they're mavatal Megillas Tainis, kamaisa batal. So if that's the case, why add new ones? This is referring to when the Beis Hamikdash was Kaim, and therefore during the time when the Beis Hamikdash was still Kaim, was still in existence, so therefore, of course, the Megillas Tainis was still around. However, if the Megillas Tainis was not around, then it would be a different issue. Again, the problem, has nothing to, you would also think, well, how about Gedalia, some Gedalia, so maybe that's the reason why a person should fast, or not fast. So we'll have to discuss that. It's going to be the very next question, which we'll do tomorrow. Okay. Question 2, TA2, as well as question 4. Al Shisha Chadashim Shaluchim Yoitzim Adua Ein Yoitzin Achar Churban Al Talmuz V'Teves. So as opposed to Chodesh Av, which has, of course, the Churban Beis Hamikdash, when it comes to these other fasts, Bizman She'en Gezeros, if there's no decree, Rishus Hein, you didn't have to fast. And therefore, Lo Matrachinan Shluchim Alayhu. Therefore, we're not Matriach Shluchim to come. Ad Kan.